responsibility for your actions. That's the way our system is set up. But I don't know if my think tank is going to agree with me tonight. I think at least 33% of it may. Let me introduce who we have with us tonight. DeWitt Lacy, great civil rights attorney, former criminal defense attorney. He is with us. Neama Rahmani, former federal prosecutor. And Lara Yeretsian, a great criminal defense attorney, was on the Scott Peterson team. All three of them out on the left coast. So they may see the whole world differently than I do. But let's go ladies first, guys, if you don't mind. Lara, I got it right.
Vinny, you know what I'm going to say? No, you got it wrong, because the way I see it is different than the way you see it. In this case, the prosecution could have gone after him for just voluntary manslaughter. This guy didn't agree to the plea. They could have just gone forward with a voluntary manslaughter, which is originally what was going on here, what was on the table, what the charges were. After stand your ground hearings is when they decided, oh, we're going to go after him for first-degree murder. Now, I think anyone that looks at this and here's the fact, this is not necessarily something that should have been filed as a first-degree murder. Clearly, the jury only had that in front of them, so they found him guilty. But guess what? Maybe if they'd had a voluntary manslaughter, he may have just gone down on a voluntary manslaughter, which is what I see it as. This was a fight between two guys. Yes, he maybe took one or two more punches than necessary. It's not okay to do this. Clearly, I think someone should be doing time for it, especially if it wasn't done in self-defense. But is this a first-degree murder? I don't see it that way.
Neama, I'll let you jump in there first before I'm holding back here. Go ahead.
Yeah, Lara, you know I love you, but I'm going to disagree with you vehemently on this one. This is not a manslaughter case. This is someone who, regardless of what happened between him and his girlfriend, which I agree with Vinny was nothing. I mean, he talks to Raul, the victim, on the phone. He calls his two buddies. He goes over there and beats to death a significantly older man, and maybe because I'm close to the age of the victim or getting there, but if a 19-year-old came to my house with two of his friends, entered my property, that is not a manslaughter case. That's not a heat of passion type case. The facts don't support that. And the defense that he put up was a terrible one. Self-defense, stand your ground. This is not a self-defense case. He got a very, very good 15-year offer. He should have taken it. And there's a reason the jury came back in 5 hours on those two counts, because he's absolutely guilty. And one of the problems is, and when we talk to defense attorneys, when you have folks like this who are out on bond on murder cases, that's why they don't plead, because they can't stomach going to prison. So if he were in custody, I think there's a significantly greater chance this trial wouldn't have happened. But this is the correct result. This is not a manslaughter case.
But Neama, is that fair to make sure that somebody's in jail so that they're pressured into taking a deal?
Well, they just understand what the life is like. They understand the life behind bars. It's still a life, right? All right, DeWitt, go ahead.
Look, I'm going to have to agree with Neama here. Sorry, Lara. Look, this, I think, is a pretty clear case. You are right now, okay? This is a pretty clear case of when keeping it real goes wrong. And, Mr. Robinson thought that this was a time to show his machismo and be macho. I mean, he calls the guy up. Neama is actually right. Goes over his house and beats a guy who's, much more his senior. There was no need for this to happen, but for the fact that he wanted to exact some punishment and vengeance. And although maybe he did not necessarily intend to kill him, he definitely intended to beat him very ferociously on his own property. That's where you get the burglary charge. And, he kind of got what was coming, in more news, water is wet, right?
Yeah.
But I think all of us are forgetting one thing, that this individual, Erin Robinson, is only 19. I mean, his age has to factor in as to what he was thinking. I mean, there's literature out there that people's brains don't form until later in the age. So he's very young. Maybe he's a hothead. But I mean, did this guy really want to beat this guy to death? Probably not. It's only 3 punches is what we're talking about. And my understanding is Mr. Ortiz also took a punch at him. And there was some discussion about whether he took the first punch. He's the one that threw the first punch. So that means he's also reacting. Maybe he did go to meet Mr. Ortiz to talk to him, because initially they were talking. And maybe it got heated afterwards, but still, again, I see this as a manslaughter. I see this as a manslaughter.
Let me jump in for 1 second. I think the difference between this and a fight, let's say that they bumped into each other at the Dollar General or the Circle K or somewhere, some sort of place they bumped into each other, and then things happen. I might understand that it's a fight, but it's not a fight when you jump into your pickup with your buddies and go to his house and go on his property. That's what distinguishes this from just a fight. No, he was out to try to prove something. But I will do this. I'll let you hear from Fluffy, because Fluffy knows Erin Robinson a lot better than any of us. This is Hilario Coronado, who's a good friend of the defendants. He was emotional today. He was there supporting his friend, and he actually wanted to testify in the case. Take a listen.
The state was depicting my friend as a monster, and he's not a monster. If you were to know Erin, you would know that he's the type of person that would do anything for a friend. And the fact that Diaz could stand there and depict him as a monster when he's not, that doesn't sit right with me. Diaz will, in my opinion, say anything to get a conviction, and I mean, he got it. He convinced the jury that he was some type of monster when he's not, and I just can't believe it. Somebody I grew up my whole life, and he's gone.
And I understand where he's coming from, and he knows him a lot better than we do. And unfortunately, in a criminal trial, you get judged by a particular day and moment in your life. And when it's this extreme, like with your bare hands beating a man to death, it's a problem. But let me ask you about this, and Lara, I'll ask you first. This whole thing got started with that Circle K video, right? With this interaction of like 10 seconds at the Circle K. And from my perspective, the woman, Kayla Bryant, his girlfriend at the time, there she is in the tank top. She's 18 at the time. They broke up in 2017. But she was there supporting Erin Robinson today. She testified. But a lot of viewers are looking at it and saying, you know what, she's the one that really instigated this whole thing, because whatever she told Erin, I mean, that's how it all started. And it was really all over nothing. Lara, do you see it that way? And I don't think there's any criminal responsibility for her, but man, she kind of got the whole thing started.
Definitely no criminal responsibility. All she's doing is calling her boyfriend and saying, you know, somebody hit on me or was looking down my shirt. I mean, when you're watching the video, I don't know how accurate the video is. I've seen videos before where you have to really slow the video down to be able to see every little snippet of what happened. So it's not clear to me how accurate this video is. But if that really happened and she called her boyfriend, he hit him up.
Lara, I did not doctor the video.
I'm not saying you doctored it, but I've seen videos that have not been doctored where you need to slow the frames down for you to be able to see every single frame. And I'm not really sure how good if this video has been slowed down or not. But the bottom line is yes. When she called him, is she criminally guilty of anything? No. But did she instigate it? I mean, it's pretty obvious. Had it not been for her call, her boyfriend would not have been as heated and would not have been the hothead that he was, and he would not have gone and confronted a 58-year-old.
DeWitt, let's just take a step out of the legal realm for just a minute. We'll all be humans. What do you think really happened here? What do you think really happened, and how did we end up here? Because I keep looking at this case, and to me the frustrating thing is it's really all about nothing.
Like I said before, Vinny, and thanks for the question, I think this is classic when keeping it real goes wrong, right? This young lady wanted to challenge her boyfriend's macho-ness, and said, look what this man did to me. He did this to me. You please go defend my honor. If you were a real man, you would take it to this guy. And, you know, Mr. Robinson, being a young guy, fell for that and felt that it was needed in order to protect the valor of his girlfriend at the time, and goes and beats up an old man at his own house. That's what I think happened. And he made a horrendous mistake in doing that. And I would also agree that he made a horrendous mistake in taking this matter to trial. I don't think he should have done that. There was some music that he had to face. Maybe it wasn't a first-degree murder charge that he should have gotten, but that was not what was offered to him initially, and he had a choice, and he made his decision. And as my father used to tell me, you got to make the bed that you lie in at night.
Absolutely. You know, I was only threatened once in my life, and yeah, there was, I think, a woman in the middle of it. Not a woman, it was a girl. We were kids, but somebody who was bigger than I was and older than I was going to take me out until he found out who my best friend was, and then everything was all right. I had one of those bodyguards back in the day. Anyhow.
You're welcome. You're welcome for that, Vinny, by the way.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, folks, when we come back,